The Avatar franchise means a lot to me because I basically grew up with it. Specifically, I remember as a kid watching The Legend of Korra when it was airing for the first time, as well as The Last Airbender, the episodes of which were also being aired by Nickelodeon simultaneously. Safe to say, I really love this franchise. Avatar is obviously such an iconic series, and I think it was left in a perfect place with Korra and some of the subsequent comics. But now we are getting a revitalization of this franchise, and whilst it is very exciting for the most part, it also worries me a bit. And there is one singular fucker to blame for all of this. Paramount. What the hell are you trying to accomplish with this?
What do you do successfully? Quickly.
Hello, my name is Freyr, I'm your favorite local forest gremlin and a Polish sociology student, and welcome to my little corner of the internet where I discuss all forms of popular media that interest me, whether that's books, TV shows, films, or music. Today, I want to get back into the world of Avatar with you guys. I want to discuss the first trailer for the Avatar 7 Havens show, as well as give you my full review of the Avatar movie, as I finally watched it for the first time last night, and I have many thoughts about it. And then maybe by the end of the video, I'll try to make some sense of Paramount's handling of this franchise. But that might be a bit of an uphill battle for me, not gonna lie. I will be putting chapters into the timeline of this video, but as always, spoiler alert is in full effect for the movie. I don't think a spoiler alert is necessary for the Seven Havens section because the show hasn't come out yet. It's just a trailer. You can just go and watch it. It's really not that long. But yeah, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the new Avatar movie. Also, disclaimer, if I look like shit at any point of the video, it is because Poland is currently experiencing a second heatwave this year already. And I am trying my best to survive, but it's not going well. I have my water, I have my iced coffee here, but we'll see how I'll look by the end of this video, honestly. But before we get to the talking about the current state of the Avatar franchise, I would quickly like to remind you that you can always subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot. You can like the video and you can also follow me on all of my other social media, which will be included in the description box below. So without further ado, let's talk a little about Seven Havens.
And the Avatar let us down.
To be completely honest, I don't know if I have that many thoughts about the Seven Havens trailer or how it's going to shape out to be, because I feel like so many people have already talked about it that, like, I don't know if my takes in this section are going to be too original, but there are still some things that I do want to bring up. First of all, this show comes out on October 9th. It comes out in October? That is so quick. That is very soon. And mind you, it's also coming out with 2 seasons, 2 books of 13 episodes each. That is so quick and unfortunately makes me slightly worried for the quality of the show. Although it is also possible that this is a similar case to the Avatar movie, which was basically completed for a while and it only released this soon because it leaked in its entirety. I don't know. Maybe this show has been completed for a while now and they were just waiting to release it for I don't know how long. I don't know. Paramount is weird, man. We also now know that it's not all going to be released at the same time, unlike some previous reports. It will be spaced out, but still, this timeline is kind of crazy. Release dates aside, I think the art style looks a little weird to me. It is this weird mix of like Invincible and the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime. And I don't know if you guys agree. I don't know if you guys see it. I also saw a lot of comparisons to Voltron. And honestly, I do see it. However, I do also feel like many people used the Voltron comparison as like a negative, and I do not subscribe to that. I thought Voltron had a great art style and a really beautiful animation, so I don't know what you guys are on about. On the other hand, though, I do definitely enjoy the fact that it's so visually distinct from The Legend of Korra. Everything is different. The colors, the face shapes, the settings. The settings specifically are something that I really wanted to bring up here. I hope that this show doesn't go the like stereotypical fantasy world way with its settings. Like, I don't need for the Seven Havens to be like a desert town, a forest town, a snow town, an underground town, a sea town. Like, I really hope that they get more creative with it than just that. Beforehand, the civilization in the world of Avatar centered around elements, around bending, but what is it going to center around now? All I'm saying is, I hope that it doesn't center around their environments. Because if that's what they're going to use to make the Havens like distinct from each other, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. I want to know exactly how they function, how they were built, what the differences are between them, but I don't want it to go like this stereotypical way, you know? I want for them to get a little creative with it. So far, the fight scenes look absolutely incredible. However, what I did notice a lot in this trailer specifically is the scaled down facial animation of some of these characters. I think in the previous shows and also the movie, which we're gonna get to in a second, the faces of these characters, they are so much more expressive. These ones, though, are not, and that unfortunately kind of bothers me. What doesn't bother me, though, is the idea of the post-apocalyptic world. I feel like it's this soft reset of the world after The Legend of Korra introduced these influences from the 1920s. I think the writers must have seen that continuing in that trend would only make their worlds more complicated, and they already mishandled so many, like, political nuances of the world of The Legend of Korra. So they really needed to avoid a repeat of that, and I think that's their way of doing so. There are many things that excite me about this show, but there's one main reason why my ass is going to be seated right here on October 9th. Korra. This trailer almost seems to poke fun at the fact that many people treat Korra as this like devil incarnate when she's clearly one of the best things that have ever happened to this franchise. It is clear to me that whatever happened, it was not her fault, but she was framed for it. And a lot of the plot will revolve around finding out what actually happened and simultaneously Pavi learning how to fix the world that already hates the Avatar. I can almost picture this like mystery around Korra and this show already. Like, you know, this show is going to be great for us Korra defenders. She's likely going to be the Elphaba of this world. Maybe we could also see some of Korra's friends make appearances like Toph, Katara, and Zuko did in The Legend of Korra. I would love to see that. Imagine like an Asami appearance there. That would be so good. That is all obviously under the assumption that Pavi is the next Avatar after Korra, which we don't know if that's going to be the case. There is a theory going around online that an entire cycle of avatars has passed. I don't know if I subscribe to that theory. Personally, I don't really think so, but I guess we'll see. I also have some other like questions about the show that will likely get answered when the show actually comes out, but I just want to throw them out now and we can, I don't know, talk a little. First of all, Pavi earthbends, but what about other elements? We don't see her using any other elements in the trailer, so is this going to be like an Aang situation where she has to learn these elements from scratch, or does she already know them, or what's the deal there? Because previously we've seen both Aang and Korra struggle with certain elements, so I wonder if that's also going to be a theme here. Another question is, what are the Seven Havens, or rather, do they originate from any of the cities that we already know? We know one of them is called Allura, but could there possibly be like a Ba Sing Se Haven? Or maybe like a Republic City Haven or Zaofu? And I mean, that last one I feel like is more likely because we literally see it in the trailer when it's burning, so maybe? Who are these masked fellas that we see fighting the airbenders? They look so interesting and I immediately want to know more. They kind of remind me of when Zuko was that bandit, you know, with the mask. I forgot what his name was, but that's immediately what my mind went to when I saw them. This next one is probably the source of the most discourse online around this trailer so far, and that is, why the hell is Vaatu back? Listen, I wasn't the most excited about seeing the Satan kite being hinted at in the trailer, but honestly, after giving it some time, I realized that actually this could be a good thing if they're going to try to like fix the grave mistake of The Legend of Korra that was introducing light and dark spirits. Maybe this time around they're going to go for the harmony, the balance, and actually execute it well. I want to see the idea of light cannot exist without darkness and darkness cannot exist without light finally brought to the Avatar franchise in a way that makes sense. Maybe this show is going to take Vaatu and make him something more than just an incarnation of pure evil. Maybe it will actually show us that both Rava and Vaatu are important and one shouldn't best another. And speaking about Vaatu and Rava, How is Pavi and Nisha's relationship going to look like? The popular theory I saw was that one of them will be bonded to Rava and the other will be bonded to Vatu. And that is going to lead to some like conflict. Like one will be like the dark avatar or something. And the twist is going to be that Pavi, the actual avatar, is actually bonded to Vatu. Honestly, this could be interesting to see. I also just in general am very excited to see their origins, their story, how they got separated, the differences between them. We know that both of them are earthbenders, but imagine if both of them also are actual like avatars, just bonded to different spirits. That would be so cool. Obviously it has to be executed well, but like that idea honestly kind of excites me. There is a lot of potential in Seven Havens to be a great show, not just in the Avatar franchise, but also for it to carve its own path and success on its own. And I really want to see that. I am already so curious about so many things about this show, and I want to meet our new characters already. And also, mind you, that is before I even saw the show. If I see anybody online or in person, honestly, talking badly about Pavi, I fear is going to be on site. Korra already gets a ton of hate, and I feel like most of it is rooted in misogyny. So now getting Pavi, a little girl who is also a person of color and is also disabled, I just feel like if she sneezes too loudly, the internet is going to be like, you know, bringing out their pitchforks and torches. I promise you, I'm going to be the #1 Pavi defender in the world. Oh, and then I almost forgot to mention this, but I am very excited to see Pavi as a disabled representation. Avatar has previously had some incredible disabled rep, namely in the form of Toph. So I hope that Pavi gets to be a similarly, you know, badass character and bring us some positive disabled representation, which we don't see often these days. Will I be seated for Seven Havens? Absolutely. Even though it does come out in October, and I will be pretty busy then because the new academic year starts, and also we're getting the new Hunger Games movie, and Percy Jackson season 3 comes out, and I think Ted Lasso season 4 ends in October, and we're likely also going to be getting more stuff in October. Maybe more stuff will be announced, more stuff will be coming out. I just feel like this October is going to be a very busy month, but also one of the most exciting months of the year, and I cannot wait. But before we actually receive the Seven Havens show, there is one more piece of new Avatar content that we have to talk about, and that is, of course, the Avatar Aang movie.
He's very attractive. Huh? What? He is. It's on the bone structure.
So let's start with the obvious here. This movie is fucking gorgeous. It is beautiful, a visual orgasm actually. And I don't say that lightly. The last time I said that about a movie was, I think, for the Spider-Verse movies, which, I mean, do I have to say more? This movie is breathtaking. You can pause this movie at any given point, and that frame that you get, art. And that, of course, also applies to our characters. Hot. All of them. Certified hotties. How the fuck did they actually do this? How did they pull this off? I will say though, I don't think making them this hot was a good choice, because how am I supposed to pay attention to the plot when Zuko's over there looking like a fucking L'Oreal Paris commercial?
Blah, blah, blah. Proper name, place name, backstory stuff.
What am I supposed to do? I'm just a man. Same appreciation goes to the fight scenes in this movie, which are just epic. I love how you can clearly see the synergy of the team when they fight together. It's just perfect. As for other designs that I really love, I think the environments in this movie are beautiful. And when it comes to other characters, I really, really enjoyed the designs of. Specifically, Avatar Sonam. That is mother right there.
Oh, mother, 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 mother. My mother.
Not that anyone asked for this, but let's just for a second compare the visuals of this movie to the fucking live action show that Netflix is still trying to make happen. That is dull, that is boring, uninteresting, ugly, honestly. This, however, is art. Most reviews of this movie I saw on Letterboxd were something along the lines of, wow, this is beautiful. What a beautiful, breathtaking movie. The animation, oh my God. The plot though. And I disagree. I think, yes, the plot isn't perfect. It's definitely predictable, but that doesn't make it bad. You know, it's just flawed in some places. And I think most movies have flaws, so I don't really understand why this one was such a problem for people. It's simpler, yes, but it still has room for very interesting concepts in my opinion. The way they showed Aang contacting other avatars and the concept of Sonam being hidden from the cycle because of her guilt and grief was so interesting. And also the idea of the staff and energy from the spirit world being able to gift airbending to people was really intriguing to me. It was a clear reference to The Legend of Korra, specifically Book 3, when airbending returns because of the spirit portals being opened. But I don't think that's bad. I saw some people complaining about this essentially being story recycling, and I do see that point. However, this does feel like a bit of a different take on that same idea that we saw previously. In The Legend of Korra, we were shown that the spirit world and its energy can bring back airbending, so to have it repeated here could have felt redundant, but instead I think it makes it more interesting. The new airbending in Legend of Korra isn't voluntary, it just happens to certain people, and that's how the culture is revitalized. In the movie though, the power of airbending is used as a weapon. It's used to arm people and continue a cycle of violence. This power that once belonged to a culture that championed harmony and peace now is being used as a tool of conquest. But also you get the villain of the movie, Taga, prioritizing this power over his culture. What was lost was the culture. It was the nomad. Airbending was just one of many parts of said culture. In that way, we see how Taga's values actually stray so far away from the values of other air nomads. All he wants is power and vengeance, and he uses what happens to his culture as a way of justifying his own actions. And speaking about his conquest, this movie has some really well done commentary on the current state of the world that we live in. Because yes, obviously this movie is very political. I don't think you can watch Avatar and not view it at least somehow through a political lens. The Fire Nation from the original show is an obvious example of this, but also some stuff in The Legend of Korra, even though it does kind of fail when it comes to presenting like coherent politics in this world. This movie is no exception though. Thematically, it's very, very strong. Aang having to balance this guilt and grief over losing his culture whilst also being the Avatar and having to be there for everyone is really interesting to me, especially when his morals are put to the test with the prospect of a new airbending nation and his culture being restored. He is proud of what he accomplished with the gang and, bringing all the nations together, but also he misses his culture. He wishes that they could also be a part of the new world. There is so much that he has to balance. And also Taga, he presents a very interesting ideology. Basically, what he's saying is, our nation got destroyed, our people were hurt. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna destroy other nations. We're gonna hurt other people. And that feels like a very, current message, if you know what I'm saying, if you catch my drift, if you see where I'm going with it. Like, I think the connection there is kind of obvious. I was watching this and immediately I sensed the underlying message of this movie. It's a very clear message to me, but also I think the movie does a great job of deconstructing that ideology. Come to think of it, this is an incredibly important movie, especially now with everything that's going on in the world. As for the other parts of this movie, I thought that the writing of it was okay. I think the dialogue maybe doesn't necessarily have the same charm that it used to have in the original show, but it's still pretty good, and I enjoyed most of the new voices, except for Katara. No hate to Jessica Matten, but it just did not work for me. I felt like she was here the entire time, and I needed more peaks and valleys in her performance. Zuko and Toph, on the other hand, those were great performances, and also Taga, he was voiced incredibly. And also Sumi, I like the nostalgia baiting. I like the fan service that I was sensing when I was watching this movie. Like, this is an instance where it actually works. You have the appearances of the cabbage merchant, you have the foaming mouth guy, and him apparently having a kid, which is crazy. You have the little moment with the bisons, you have the air temple in the Republic City, and the fact that we get to see it being built. We have Toph once again proclaiming her greatness. We have the appearance of the water spirits. It's just so good, and it made my inner little, Avatar fan so happy. I fucking love this movie, actually. It really brought me back into like my Avatar phase. It is such a perfect opportunity to re-enter the fandom and maybe revisit some of the previous installments as well. However, the movie wasn't perfect and there were some downsides to it. First of all, Where the fuck is Suki? I genuinely thought that she would be in this movie somehow. Just make a cameo, anything, but guess not. I didn't know they were gonna play in my face like that. And Iroh, what happened to him? Why wasn't he there? Has he already passed and we don't know about that? Like, why wasn't he mentioned at all? Hello? Did we forget about him? And speaking of practically absent characters, the rest of the gang is here. They are present, but they don't do much outside of looking very hot, which is great. The magic of Avatar always relied on these characters, their synergy, their interactions, them growing together. Meanwhile, this is an Aang movie and the rest of the characters don't get much to do. I think partially it's, of course, because it's a movie with a limited runtime, so obviously they don't have enough room to really give everybody, a lot of attention, but it is noticeable, especially once you compare it to how things look like in the show. I just want to see them interact, talk, make jokes together, plan stuff together, like have any sort of character arcs, and we get none of that in this movie. I wanted for this reunion to make me feel something, and it did, but I wanted to feel more. We haven't seen these characters together on our screens in ages. It should feel more special. However, I do have hope that the rest of the gang is going to get more time to shine in their own movies. Zuko is getting one for sure. I think Kyoshi and Korra are also getting movies, but honestly, I want to see movies for all of these characters. Give me the Toph movie, maybe like a Zuko and Sokka movie. That could be interesting. I would love to have like a solo Katara movie. Actually, I think Katara and Sokka could be fun together in a movie because we could maybe explore a little bit more of their like sibling bond there. Like, oh no, I'm just sitting here and getting ideas. This is dangerous. Oh, and also speaking of Katara, this is another instance of her getting reduced to Aang's girlfriend, and I hate that. She gets some very cool scenes, don't get me wrong, but her whole life and her whole character arc still revolves around Aang. She's not a character of her own anymore. And also, yes, she gets those incredible scenes, but then suddenly in the final fight, she's out of water. Like, what a stupid obstacle to throw her way. It almost feels like it was deliberately put there so that Sokka could actually be useful with his like flying bike, and also the fact that he had these like water bombs, which I'm assuming that's where Katara gets her water from. Which, if that is the case, that is a very dumb idea, because it means that they literally had to force a situation where Katara couldn't do anything for Sokka to finally be useful. Sokka's treatment in this movie also bothered me a lot. In the show, he was a goofball, obviously, and he wasn't the most powerful member of the gang, obviously, but he was a skilled swordsman, he could fight, he was a warrior, and he could be a genuinely like serious threat. Meanwhile, in this movie, he is basically the definition of useless for most of the runtime. I'm sure they could have found some stuff for him to do outside of inventing flying bikes. Like, if he's supposed to be this incredible non-bender, a contrast to the Denied and their ideology, at least make him actually threatening. And speaking about the Denied, they are, at least to me, an obvious reference to the Equalists. They are kind of similar to them with one difference, and that is that the Equalists, they want to get rid of benders, and the Denied want to become benders. I think it's an interesting concept that I would actually like to see explored more. You know, people being bitter about not being able to bend, trying to gain access to the crafts. I think that alone could have been a very interesting story, but sadly, the Denied kind of underperformed in their own story. They basically get turned into Taga's minions. Their entire point was to have power for themselves, yet they become loyal to the first person that actually offers them power. That was weird for me. I was actually expecting the leader of the Denied to somehow betray Taga at the last minute and become like the last minute final villain, you know? But that didn't happen. However, I did enjoy the minor character arc that Khalik had. And also the different fighting styles of the Denied. Like, they were so cool, so well thought out. I just wish that we could have seen more of them as actual villains. Sort of like something like the Red Lotus in The Legend of Korra. They could have just been the villains of this film, standalone, and that could have been so incredible. How I think it should have looked like was make Taga the villain here, and then make a second movie with the Denied as the villains. You can show how power can corrupt in many ways. You know, we have Taga wanting vengeance and violence, and the Denied wanting power for the sake of power. The spirit world also kind of confused me, because why, when they entered it, their ages suddenly changed? Why was Toph a baby? Why were Katara and Zuko old? Why were Aang and Sokka teenagers? Like, last time I checked, they are not spirits, so why were their appearances affected by the disturbing of balance in the spirit world? I just don't understand that. Most of these things that I mentioned are obviously nitpicks, but there are also things there that I would like to see developed more. This movie would have been perfect if it was only like 30 minutes longer. It would add so much room to actually explore all the different additions to this movie. I gave it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. I really liked it, even though obviously it could have been better. But even so, this movie is an absolute gem, and I genuinely enjoyed my time with it, and it is such an exciting return of this franchise.
I don't know what to do with the rest of my life.
Have you ever considered piracy?
The Avatar Studios confirmed that we will be getting 4 movies, a new show, possibly even new games. And that was, so incredible to hear. But now that this new Avatar cycle has officially begun, it is a bit of a mess. For starters, the Avatar Aang movie leaked. And then obviously Paramount does nothing aside from launching an investigation into what happened. They do nothing to promote this movie and then give it a theatrical release in, count them, 2 movie theaters in Los Angeles and in New York, because they want for this movie to be eligible for awards, and for that to happen, it has to have a theatrical release. And let me tell you something, Paramount. You're not gonna get many of these awards if that's how you plan to market it.
I am sick. I am sick of your shit. And when I'm not sick, I'm tired. I am sick and tired.
So instead of trying to find logic behind these decisions, I feel like we need to talk in terms that people like the executives at Paramount understand. Money. You guys are sitting on a pile of money and refusing to use it. Imagine how insane the box office numbers would be for this movie if you just gave it some promotion, gave it a normal theatrical release, did a few fun things for the fans. Most people who grew up with this franchise are full-blown adults now. We have bank accounts, and trust me that we are ready to use them. You have at your hand a franchise that has one of the biggest and most passionate fan bases of all time. And it's not like they wouldn't be willing to give you their money if you handled the movie better. When it leaked, a lot of people, including me, waited for it to get a theatrical release because we wanted to, experience it for the first time in a cinema. But that obviously is not going to happen now. Less and less fans will look at Paramount distributing these new additions to their beloved franchise and be willing to also support Paramount financially. You could have had $1 billion movie on your hands, but instead people are going to be pirating your Avatar shows and movies because now you gave them a clear reason as to why they shouldn't give you their money. You showed that you don't give a flying fuck about this franchise that they clearly love. You have no respect for it, you don't want to give it the attention that it clearly deserves, and you are losing because of it. If you seriously think that you're going to get more subscribers out of this for your streaming service, think again. This movie has been leaked for months. It's actually very easy to find it. Don't be foolish, just give the fans what they want, and I promise, trust me, you will gain from that. Let fans of art enjoy said art. Let us embrace it. Let us have fun with it. Let the art actually have a moment in the sun, regardless of whether that fits your business model or not. Regardless of how it looks and how it's marketed, I am very excited to have more Avatar. Getting new on-screen content from the Avatar franchise in 2026 is honestly crazy, and I am more than here for that. However, I am also slightly worried about the legacy of Avatar getting tarnished by the way this is being handled right now. We need for this to be done better. We need for the distributors of the new Avatar content to actually care about distributing new Avatar content. This half-assed job that they're doing right now just isn't gonna cut it. I will be watching closely for the next few months how they're gonna approach Seven Havens and also the future movies. I am worried for now, but hopeful that this is just a rough start to an otherwise amazing era of new Avatar stories. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for making it till the end of the video. If you did, definitely let me know what you thought of that and what you think of the stuff that I talked about here. What are your thoughts on Seven Havens? What are your thoughts on the Avatar Aang movie, or on Paramount, or the future of this franchise? There's so much to talk about here, and I am so ready to have these conversations with you guys. Now, there will only be more content coming from me, so definitely make sure to subscribe if you like this video, or if you like any of the other stuff that I've done. You will actually see me very, very soon again this week for an album reaction that I'm very, very excited for. But aside from that, the video essays about other stuff that I'm very passionate about are not going to stop, and there will only be more music reactions as well. So if any of that sounds exciting to you, definitely make sure to subscribe. Also, definitely make sure to stick around for October, because I will be talking about Seven Havens when it eventually drops, and about the Hunger Games and Percy Jackson, possibly even Ted Lasso. So there will be a lot of me yapping on this channel, let me tell you. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Go and rewatch some Avatar episodes. And until the next video, take care, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.